Peppa Pig and the Mischievous Breeze. Peppa hangs a handkerchief on the clothesline in the sunny garden. George holds a few wooden pegs, trying to help his sister secure it. Suddenly, a gust of wind sweeps through, sending the cloth fluttering and then soaring away. Peppa dashes after it, George giggling as he follows close behind. The handkerchief twirls around the flower beds, landing briefly on a pile of dry leaves. Just as Peppa reaches out, the breeze lifts it up again, making them both laugh at the teasing game. At last, the cloth drifts down gently and lands right on Daddy Pig's head as he reads the newspaper outside. Daddy Pig looks up, puzzled for a moment, then chuckles as the little ones rush over. Peppa and George burst into laughter. The family's chair. Today, in Peppa Pig's living room, there is a brand new chair. It looks so comfy, and everyone wants to try it. Peppa jumps on first. The chair goes creak. George climbs up too. Now it goes creak, creak, again and again. Daddy Pig comes in and sits down. The chair tilts to one side, wobbling like it's about to fly. Mummy Pig smiles and joins them. The whole family is squeezing onto the tiny chair. The chair squeaks, shakes, and thud. It falls right onto the floor. For a moment, everyone is quiet. Then they burst into laughter. The chair isn't big enough, but laughter always has room for everyone. The Mystery Toy Box. It's a morning just like any other. Until Susie arrives with a mysterious box. No one knows what's inside, but Peppa and George can already feel the excitement bubbling up. It's not candy and it's not dolls. It's a whole miniature construction world. And just like that, a brand new adventure begins for our three little builders. Peppa is the architect, Susie the engineer, and George the most dedicated dump truck driver ever. They work together with laughter and joy. But wait, that tower looks a tiny bit wobbly. With Peppa, George, and Susie, every day is a new adventure, filled with laughter and friendship. Christmas is here! Christmas is here! Peppa wakes up to see the whole world covered in sparkling white snow. Peppa and George rush to the living room. The Christmas tree is glowing brighter than ever. Peppa twirls with joy, while George admires the shiny ornaments. Christmas feels magical! The family gets everything ready. Stockings are hung neatly, and a golden star is placed on the very top. Peppa gasps as a bright light streaks across the sky. Christmas is full of surprises and magic. Yoo-hoo!
Aha!
Hey!
Come on, let's go!
One warm afternoon, the Peppa Pig family was happily playing together in the garden. Suddenly, George jumped up with an exciting idea. Let's play musical instruments. The whole family stepped onto a little stage. First, Peppa and George walked out, followed by Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig. Let's introduce each instrument. Maracas, tambourine, electric guitar, saxophone. Joyful music filled the air as everyone smiled brightly and played with all their heart. One morning, George wakes up and looks around his room. Toys are scattered all over the floor. Books lie in a messy pile on the desk, and the blanket and pillows are all over the bed. George puts, he hands on, he hips, sighs, but decides he will turn a messy room into a tidy, cozy place. George starts picking up each toy, sorting them by shape and color, then placing them into different boxes. One for cars, one for stuffed animals, and one for building blocks. Each time George closes a lid, George stacks the boxes neatly against the wall. George folds his blanket carefully, smoothing out each corner. While folding, a big teddy bear hidden inside the blanket falls to the floor. George giggles, hugs the bear for a moment, then places it neatly at the head of the bed, right next to her favorite pillow. After dusting the desk and arranging the books in order, George steps back to look at the whole room. Everything is clean and tidy, the floor is clear and shiny. George lies down on the bed, opens a picture book, and enjoys the cozy feeling of George's freshly cleaned room. Peppa and George are playing with a balloon in the park. A strong gust of wind blows the balloon up into the sky. Peppa looks up at the balloon, startled. George points at the sky, following the balloon with his eyes. Peppa and Daddy Pig start running after the balloon, trying to keep up as it flies higher. Peppa and Daddy Pig run across the grassy field, their legs moving quickly. George runs behind, watching the balloon and smiling. Peppa and Daddy Pig spot the balloon caught in a tree branch. Peppa points at the tree, excited to see the balloon. Daddy Pig uses a long stick to try and reach the balloon from the tree. Peppa hops around happily. Peppa and Daddy Pig are happy to have rescued the balloon. Peppa holds the balloon in her hands, smiling. George jumps up joyfully. The pig family sits down together and continues to play in the park. The pig family arrives at a farm to try being farmers for the day. "We're going to be farmers and take care of the plants," Peppa says. Everyone gets ready to start working on the farm. Peppa and George start watering the plants. "I'm going to water the plants so they can grow big and strong," Peppa says. George helps his sister by watering around the garden. Peppa and George begin to pick ripe tomatoes from the garden. "Look, our tomatoes are ready," Peppa says. The pig family continues to pick vegetables and put them in their baskets. After a hard day's work on the farm, the pig family sits down to enjoy the vegetables they just picked. "We can eat what we've grown with our own hands," Daddy Pig says. Everyone enjoys a meal and feels proud of their hard work. After a hard day's work, the pig family sits down to rest. "Being a farmer is fun, but I like playing more," Peppa says. Daddy Pig laughs and says, "Helping on the farm is good, but playing is fun too." The whole family laughs and feels proud of their work. The mysterious gift box. Today, Peppa and George discover a pretty gift box sitting in front of their house. The box is tied with a shiny red ribbon. Peppa and George are very curious, but who could have left it there? Peppa gently taps the box. Oh, it wobbles as if something inside is dancing. George decides to sit on the box, but then it makes a funny boink 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 sound, and they both burst out laughing. Suddenly, the ribbon comes loose, the lid pops open, and inside, not toys, not sweets, but a bunch of colorful balloons that float up into the sky. Peppa and George happily chase after the balloons, giggling all around the garden. What a wonderful surprise from the mysterious gift box! Peppa and George are playing with a balloon in the park. A strong gust of wind blows the balloon up into the sky. Peppa looks up at the balloon, startled. George points at the sky, following the balloon with his eyes. Peppa and Daddy Pig start running after the balloon, trying to keep up as it flies higher. Peppa and Daddy Pig run across the grassy field, their legs moving quickly. George runs behind, watching the balloon and smiling. Peppa and Daddy Pig spot the balloon caught in a tree branch. Peppa points at the tree, excited to see the balloon. Daddy Pig uses a long stick to try and reach the balloon from the tree. Peppa hops around happily. Peppa and Daddy Pig are happy to have rescued the balloon. Peppa holds the balloon in her hands, smiling. George jumps up joyfully. The pig family sits down together and continues to play in the park. A hot, sunny afternoon. My sister and I were talking and decided to go to the pool to beat the heat. And off they went, all excited, heading to the swimming pool. They arrived and saw their friend happily splashing in the water. The little sister jumped into the pool, splashing around happily, while the big sister relaxed and sunbathed on a colorful chair. One clear morning, you and I were still fast asleep. Suddenly, a friend showed up and knocked on the door. Our close friend smiled and said, "Let's go for a walk, you two." Suddenly, a mysterious object began to leap. It turned the white rabbit pink. Hey! Luckily, the strange object managed to retrieve the leaking item just in time. Today, Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig come home after a fun day out. Before going inside, Mommy Pig places a star-shaped hat, just like a wizard's hat, on a chair. George has just woken up and is still feeling sleepy. He slowly walks toward the door. Peppa notices the strange hat and picks it up. Suddenly, the hat floats up and gently lands on Peppa's head. Peppa laughs happily and runs outside. Seeing this, George quickly runs after her. Peppa's great ball chase. Peppa kicks the ball and it rolls down the hill. Yahoo! Peppa and George run after it, but the ball keeps rolling faster. The ball falls into a flower bush, and Peppa crawls in to look for it. George is delighted when he sees Peppa find the ball. The two of them continue playing football in the park. Pepper and the Reading Festival. Today is a very happy day. Outside in the yard, Peppa and George are playing together and singing joyfully. Inside the house, Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig are carrying a big pile of books and placing them neatly in the living room. Mummy Pig calls the two children inside and smiles as she says, "Reading books helps you learn new things and become more creative." Peppa and George both nod in agreement. George sits nicely next to Mummy Pig, listening happily as she reads him a story. Meanwhile, Peppa chooses her favorite book and reads quietly by herself. Yahoo! Aha! One day in the high-flying balloon. One day, while the family was together, Mummy Pig had an idea. Let's go on a hot air balloon ride. Everyone happily agreed. When they arrived, Peppa and her brother were amazed by the huge balloon and ran ahead. Daddy and Mummy followed, and the whole family climbed aboard. The balloon slowly floated up, passing small clouds. And finally drifting into a sky full of sparkling stars. The bouncy mattress outdoors. Today is a beautiful day. Peppa and George brought an old mattress outside to dry in the sun. But it looks so soft. Maybe just one little nap won't hurt. Whoa, what was that? It seems this mattress can bounce. Soon the whole pig family is bouncing together. Who will bounce the highest and become the bouncy mattress champion? Looks like the mattress got tired too, but the laughter keeps echoing through the garden. After a whole day of bouncing, both Peppa and the magic mattress need a rest. What a peaceful afternoon, full of fun and giggles. The Mystery Toy Box. It's a morning just like any other. Until Susie arrives with a mysterious box. No one knows what's inside, but Peppa and George can already feel the excitement bubbling up. It's not candy and it's not dolls. It's a whole miniature construction world. And just like that, a brand new adventure begins for our three little builders. Peppa is the architect, Susie the engineer, and George the most dedicated dump truck driver ever. They work together with laughter and joy. But wait, that tower looks a tiny bit wobbly. With Peppa, George, and Susie, every day is a new adventure, filled with laughter and friendship. Hey, hey! Yahoo! Wow! Peppa Pig and the Ripe Apple Tree. Peppa spots the apple tree, heavy with ripe red apples. She bounces up and down, reaching as high as she can. But the apples sway teasingly above her, just out of reach. George grabs the tree trunk and shakes it with all his strength. A few apples tumble down with a satisfying thud, but instead of landing in their hands, the apples roll, roll, roll far away. Peppa and George scramble after them, completely out of breath. Exhausted, the two sit under the tree, ready to give up. Suddenly, a gust of wind shakes the branches. One shiny apple drops straight down, rolling right to Peppa's feet. George picks it up proudly, holding it like treasure. Peppa giggles. The two share the apple, munching happily under the tree. The Mud Castle.
Hey! Hey!
Today, the garden is wet and full of soft, squishy mud. Peppa has a wonderful idea to build a mud castle. Piece by piece, the mud pile grows taller and taller. Oh dear, mud is very slippery, and castles are not so strong. Even though the mud castle falls, the fun is still standing tall.